them in. So it was Sammy Goldberg and Eddie Mester from Philo Records came up. And when he came up there, he came to the stage and said, play that number, Drifting Again. Play it again. They threw $20 up there. Well, that was a lot of money. Threw 20 again, play it again. So Johnny Moore was very mean. He says, I'm tired, I'm not gonna play anymore, I wanna go home. So when we came off the stage, though, Eddie Mester said, look, he said, would you like to make that record for us? We were calling it Walking and Drifting. And he said that, Johnny Moore said, well, how much is in it? You know, money was very important then. He said, $800. He said, well, how many do you want us to do? He said, just four numbers. So this number we did, I had written this number, but we called it Walking and Drifting. But when we recorded it, he said, Charles Brown, he said, look, you know what? He said, ship doesn't walk. He said, you have to call it Drifting and Drifting. So this number won the Cashbox Award of 1946. So I want to give you a little how it goes. Well, I'm drifting and I'm drifting like a ship out on the sea. Well, I'm drifting and I'm drifting like a ship out on the sea. Well, I ain't got nobody in this world to care for me. That's the idea. That number sold over 12 million records. Now, when it, you know, before we made the record.
Now, pardon me, Mr.
Yes.
Brown. That record sold 12 million.
At that time.
At that time. And Michael Jackson now is getting $1 billion.
We didn't get 1 cent. We only got the $800, and when we went, when they knew the number was going to do good from 45, we recorded in 1945, it made it hit in 1946, 1 year later. But during that period of time, we could go into the office and they said, come on, sit down, have a seat, you know, and talk, everything. When the numbers started hitting, we had to sit out there in the lobby and wait with the rest of the people. They didn't want to talk to you. And Johnny Moore, fortunately, I had my name, Charles Brown, on Drifting Blues, the copyright. But now, Johnny Moore had slipped and given Mr. Mester the copyright so he could put all the names on it, because I didn't know any better. And so so when he put it into the safe, I said, Mr. Mester, that number is Charles Brown. I wrote that number when I was 12 years old in Texas. He said, you're not getting not anything. And Johnny Moore was right there with me. Like, what could I do?
Now, Mr. Brown,
yes.
There was a period of time when black artists such as yourself could not record. Am I correct?
Right.
You couldn't record at all.
Couldn't record at
Now,
all.
during that period, and I would like for you to explain it to many of the audience, because I've told this story before, because I saw you in a previous interview, you and Ruth Brown just told it so eloquently. I was terribly moved, in which each of you who were well-known, who were black rhythm and blues artists, had a white shadow.
Yes.
You had there was a white singer who shadowed your music.
Right.
And then they recorded it, and the recording company released it. Am I correct?
You're correct.
Now, who shadowed Ruth Brown?
This woman named, she's a white woman. I can't think of her name.
Okay.
But it's been so long, you know, that I know, because I didn't keep up with Ruth, but I know this woman did it. She did, what was her name? I can't think
Well,
of.
you remember who shadowed Fats Domino.
Oh, yeah.
I think that was Pat Boone.
Pat Boone, right.
Uh-huh.
Then they had a lot of others who were trying to
Who
do
was your shadow?
Frankie Lane. And later on, Ray Charles. Then when Fats Domino came into the scene, see, he used to come see me when he was in the Army.
Now, give me a song that, let's say, Frankie Lane shadowed from you.
Here it is. Come with me and hear the story of the blues in all its glory. Gather round and I'll expound. Melancholy Madeline.
Now, when the mass public heard that record on radio, and at that time radio stations did not play records music by black people.
No.
Then no one knew that you had done it. Now, I'd like for you to give us the benefit of one other thing. When you played, you primarily had to play black clubs and you had to play segregated concerts in the South. That's where you had to earn your money.
Oh, yes. I have to tell you about that. The first thing was whenever you had a hit record, you had to leave California to make some money. They had established right here in Atlanta, Georgia, Mr. B.B. Beeman was one of the great promoters here. In fact, when I came to Atlanta, Georgia at the City Auditorium, they had white spectators to come up and sit and watch you. They had people really dancing. I mean, they had some great dancers here in Atlanta, Georgia. And this is one of the biggest, I had the biggest crowd, Louis Jordan and I, ever been in Atlanta, Georgia. I don't say it now, but one band could draw. You didn't need a lot, and you really did a good show because you had the band. I changed 4 times a night. My band changed 4 times a night. That's why when I see these guys who supposed to be duplicating these blues artists and the duckins and stuff and the patches on the pants, I say, you really got the blues because we didn't. We came from California.
Now, again, for the benefit of the people who don't know this era, when you played, and you could only play in the South, you could only play to segregated audiences, and in some parts of the South, they would allow the whites to sit in the balcony.
Sit in the balcony, right.
But the whites would always, would they not, when it was time to dance, they'd always come down and dance.
Yeah, you know what, it's a funny thing, and that's what really changed the era, because those white young people who were sitting up there, they were down there watching these guys doing all these tricks and kicking these legs and stuff. They said, we want to get down there. We want to go down there. Why can't we go down there? And they rampaged those places, you know what I mean? So we stampede, we want to go down there, and they did.
So in essence, segregation was being broken down.
By the music.
By the music, long before
color line.
The law got around to it.
Yeah, right, no color line. And it's like North Carolina, we played the tobacco warehouses, they were there. They had places set for them. And we played Virginia. And I can remember, I have to tell you about this, Virginia. We went through so many things. You know, I respected Virginia. I respect all the places we had to play. But Buddy Rich, who was a great drummer, and he loved me. We played the Howard Theater in Washington, D.C. Buddy Rich was hired by Johnny Moore to have the band. We were just that strong. We hired the Will Maston Trio, Sammy Davis. I couldn't turn to him. We almost slept together every day, you know. So, but when he got to making the money, you know, we'll tell you about that later. But anyway, when we went over to Virginia, I have to tell you these cute little things. We went to this drive-in, and to have soda pop or whatever not, you know. So Buddy Rich was in his little short pants, and I had on my little short pants, and we had the bass player and whatnot. I was the blackest thing sitting up there in this convertible 47 Cadillac. And so they wouldn't come over there. And so we sat there. Buddy said, hey, sister, come here. I said, oh, no, you know. So he got out of his car, and he went over there and said, honey, says, why don't you come over here and wait on us over here? We've been sitting here. She said, well, we don't wait on the colored. He said, who's colored? I said, he's colored. I said, no, he's Hawaiian.
Listen, Mr. Brown, there was a period of time at which you disappeared from the stage.
Yes.
Now, what years were those?
I disappeared from the stage, say, to really disappear. When I tell you this, when my grandfather got sick, 1958, they wanted me to play some dates anyway. And I said, look, I got to go home and see about my papa. And he said, well, listen, your papa's old. Why worry about him? You got to think about yourself. I said, don't you say that. They said, well, if you don't want to play him, we'll boycott you. They had received all of these deposits, so they didn't want to give. So I went home to see about Papa. They boycotted me. They put a claim against me for $40,000, which they know I couldn't pay. Well, that put me to be a scab musician, the main musician out of New Jersey there. Always cooperate with the New York agencies. They said, well, Charles Brown blackballed. So I was blackballed.
What year was that?
1958 until. When I said until, I wanted to get back in the Union. I'm trying to make it short. I wrote the Union these rebuttal letters. They wouldn't consider it. So finally, I said, I'm going to just keep writing. So finally, I wrote the Union in New Jersey on Mount Pleasant. I said, I want to get back to you. I can't make no money. It's just, I can't make nothing no more. This is what Charles Brown, he said, well, you could get back in the Union. I said, why? See, everybody who had claims against you dead. So that's the way I got back in the Union.
Now, what year did you get back?
I got back in the Union, to be exact, in 1962.
Now, you've been back playing since 62?
Yeah.
Now, you and I shared a train ride on Amtrak from New York to D.C. a few weeks ago. And when I had the distinct pleasure of meeting you in person, because you've been one of my heroes. And you were telling me that you now are having a resurgence. You had just played a club in New York, or a hotel, in which you broke the record for the week, and this was recently.
Yeah, right. I played the one at Cine Grill in Hollywood and New York. We did the Broadway show 2 days with Mike McDonald, you know who sings, Bart Skaggs, Phoebe Snow, and Donald Fagen. And I was the blackest thing on there except one of the guys playing it. But they gave me a standing ovation, because when you see me like this, I'm not performing like I will do some things later when I play for you. But anyway, we broke the record. Then we went to California. Nancy Wilson and all, they had never heard me. She gave No More Than Records. She was there. They had Eric Clapton. They had all these people who was anybody.
Now, in other words, a new generation is discovering you.
Well, who
now,
did it? Bonnie Raitt.
We only got a couple minutes.
Yeah.
What is you have a new record out.
A new record called...
What is...
All My Life, and I tell you who was the cause of me having this record, Bonnie Raitt, who won 4 Grammys. She heard me at the Vine Street Grill in Hollywood, and I did so well there. She said, if I ever get in power, you're going to be the first one, because you are Mr. Rhythm and Blues.
Is this it?
I'm going to dedicate this one I did for her all my life. I wrote this all my life. Baby, all my love. All my life, I want to be with you. Darling, you're on my mind. All the time. Here's my chance. I want to say to you, take the time to love me after all is said and done. Never put no one else above me when our love has just begun. All my love, baby, all my life.
Mr. Brown, can I interrupt you?
Yeah.
We have a few seconds left, and we'd all like to thank you for the history. We'd like to thank you for 68 years of preserving America's music and creating America's music. And we'd like for you to take us out with the song we know you by best.
Thank you. Merry Christmas, baby. You sure did treat me nice. Merry Christmas, baby. sure did treat me nice. Gave me a diamond ring for Christmas. Oh. Now I'm living in paradise. Well, I'm feeling mighty fine.
Tony Brown Productions produces this program and is solely responsible for its content.
For over a decade, Tony Brown's Journal has been brought to you by Pepsi and its bottlers. At Pepsi-Cola, we're committed to the communities we serve and their cultural, educational, and business interests.